Hey everyone, welcome to Taqueando. I'm your host, Bill Esparza, and this week we are in Tepito, El Barrio Bravo, the fierce neighborhood of Mexico City that has become one of my favorite places to eat on the planet. It's definitely a place when I go to Mexico City I can't skip. I always go there, and if you're a friend of mine, you've already been with me. But first, at Taqueando, eating antojitos is a way of life, from the world's most celebrated dining rooms to the gritty stands and storied market stalls that preserve culture. Life is short, so we must eat well. And here are this week's antojitos. First off, I'm embarrassed to say it was my first time at Carnal by Chef Francisco Aguilar. You heard of him first because of the Simon food truck there in Silver Lake, known for taking traditional tacos and putting a seafood spin on them. And we all love that truck. Just about a year ago, Chef Aguilar opened Carnal, doing a more elevated approach to modern Mexican cuisine, really in line with all the wonderful young Latino chefs right now, like Chef Alex Garcia of Evil Cooks, Chef Jonathan of Machin, Chef Fatima over at Comal. Wonderful young chefs that are doing cool things. Ati restaurant, which I also went to recently. So Chef Aguilar really ran me through his menu, but some of the memorable bites were his appetizer, these sort of tepache style pineapple, little chunks of pineapple that had been fermented. And he also served a tetela in a salsa verde, which I love the sauce. It was great. Got to try one of his moles, camarones al mojo de ajo. And I have to say, of all the young chefs out there, Chef Aguilar is super passionate and really is cooking with all his heart and really enjoys, serving people and sharing food and talking about food. That guy, if you start talking about food, you'll never get out of there. You should just stay overnight in the restaurant. And my next wonderful little night of eating was in one of the most unlikely places, Rancho Santa Fe at Rancho Valencia, which is an incredible resort. I got to stay there too. And it was like, staying in a beautiful home on this property. And they had this Baja Street Food Fest with some of my favorite people. So La Guerrerense was there, and I obviously went for the tostadas and tostada de erizo, the sea urchin tostada, and the other tostada de jaiba, like a crab salad with shrimp on top, and all the wonderful salsas from Doña Sabina, the peanut salsa, chiles de mi jardín, wonderful. Always, it never fails. And Mujer Divina, Chef Priscilla changes the name of her damn restaurant every few months. So I think it's called Brunch Divina right now. And she's probably going to change it next week. But one of her most beloved concepts, which she still serves at her restaurant, is Tuétano Taqueria. And for those of you who are bone marrow fans, and I hope you all are, this was a very special restaurant, a taqueria that did birria Tijuana style with bone marrow. So she was serving those at this event. And the world famous, at least it's world famous for me, Tortas Washmobile, the carne asada tortas from Tijuana that are just amazing. So they were there. And a really big surprise for me, I'd never seen north of the border, Doña Estela of La Cocina de Doña Estela. And imagine this. This was actually a very intimate event. It was kind of a high ticket price, but only maybe 8 stands, all really incredible. And so there was no line. Imagine not having to wait for Doña Estela when you're at her place in the Valle de Guadalupe, waiting for 2 hours sometimes, or 3 hours. So that was special. Oven roasted lamb, her borrego tatemado. Lots, and Valle wines were there, and I've been drinking a lot of that lately. Valle de Guadalupe wines with all this wonderful Baja street food. Many great vendors, live music, and I just walked on over with my champagne glass to my room at Rancho Valencia. Thanks for having me. What a great time. I can't wait to go back. Before we dive into our trip to Tepito, a reminder that Taqueando is part of the Acquired Taste Media Network. Be sure to listen to our sister podcast, the LA Food Podcast. This week, Luca and his wife recap an exciting culinary trip to Fontainebleau, Las Vegas. That drops on Friday. And now, vamos a taquear! I was recently in Mexico City, a place I go to several times a year, and I've been doing that since, 2002. So over 2 decades, I've spent lots of time in Mexico City, in Mexico's capital. And something has always struck me as a writer is this idea that we as writers want to look for, well, I would say not we as writers, but editors. Okay, I'm talking to you editors. And there is an editor that comes to mind. I'm not going to say the name. And it's not bad. It's not a bad thing. But the idea of finding local voices and getting you to eat like a local. But what's that? I mean, you and I are not locals. I've been to Mexico City probably more than you, but I'm not a local. I don't live there. And so, unlike a local, I'm not going to tire of eating Mexican food. What's exciting to us is not exciting to a local in Ciudad de Mexico. So, here's you. You're talking to a local. Man, you got to try this Al Pastor place I've been going to in Tacubaya. And they're going to look at you like you're nuts. Like, I live here. I can get Al Pastor everywhere. It's probably there's a great one by my house. So your Chilango friend has their Al Pastor spots and knows the best place for them, probably near their home. Your Chilango friend wants Chinese food, which sucks for you. I would say eat like a local in Tepito, Neza, or Navarte. But when I've been in those neighborhoods, I've seen California roll carts. I don't want to eat California sushi rolls in Mexico City. And Domino-esque pizza stands on street ovens. Locals can tire of Mexican food, or rather long for variety is the better way to say it. We do that back home, but if I'm in Ciudad de Mexico, I'm digging into a chance at hyper-local cuisine. I don't want Tijuana-style tacos. There's a new place that opened up everybody's talking about. That's great if you've lived in Mexico City all your life and you've never been to Tijuana. That's for you. That's a great spot for you. And you're also, when you live somewhere, it's hard to miss anything. You're around every day. So you're eventually going to get to something. You don't need to rush and make it all fit in one weekend. Oh my God. Sinaloan seafood is on fire over there. Mi compa Chava, everybody wants to go. I would not be caught dead. Now, that's no shade to mi compa Chava, but that's really regular food in Sinaloa. Like, I've been to Culiacan, I've been to Mazatlan, I've been to Los Mochis, and I can find that food. It's what they're doing there is not unusual compared to what you would find in Sinaloa. And matter of fact, you can find, as an Angelino, I can find some decent Sinaloan seafood here, and I can find even better in Tijuana Sinaloan seafood. But when I'm in Mexico City, I don't want to do that. And it's not because it's not good. It's going to be great. You're going to go there. You're not going to listen to me. You're going to have a great time. But I don't want to do that. French bistro fare, ramen. I'm not going to Mexico City for ramen or satay. I don't really want seafood except at high-end restaurants unless I'm getting Mexico City style. And I don't know if you guys know this, but Mexico City does have its own style. And no, it's not Contramar and Mi Compa Chava and places like that. It's the Mercado La Nueva Viga, where they do dishes like Vuelve a la Vida, which is a cocktail, a mixed seafood cocktail. Empanadas de camarón are very, very typical on the streets of Mexico City. And just filetes. They don't do fish tacos, but they just do a filete dressed with Valentina and un cheve, and that's it. It's not a seafood region, but if I'm going to have seafood, I want to have something that's from Mexico City. That's why I'm there. I'm there to try that food. And if I want, Contramar, I really, this one, because obviously I really respect Chef Gabriela Camara a lot. And she's actually killing it in Mexico City, has all these restaurants. And I've been to Contramar many times, but it's been a while. And I decided after my last visit there that, that I have that cuisine in Baja California. And I feel like that restaurant really was not designed to be a tourist trap. It was designed for locals. It was designed because the locals did not have a nice place. If you go to Mercado La Nueva Viga, it's not nice. For if you want to dress up, okay, it's nice, but it's not nice if you want to dress up and have an evening. So, Contramar is meant to be a locals restaurant in Contessa for Mexicans that live there that want a nice night out with a tuna tostada, a beer, some wine. If I lived there, that would be definitely a place I would go to. I live 2 hours from Tijuana and little over 3 hours from Valle de Guadalupe and Ensenada. So I'm just going to have that there. I'm not going to Mexico City for something that isn't Mexico City. Okay. It was meant to be for the locals, but you guys went all crazy over the two-toned zarandeado. So, damn it, Instagram. But, that goes for everything. I mean, I live in Los Angeles, and so I want pasta, right? I'm not going to Italy anytime soon, and I'm just going to eat and enjoy the pasta we have. But I tell you what, Stella, I'm not going to pay $600 for it. I'm going to go to find pasta that's good enough for me at a reasonable price. Pasta should not be that expensive, my friends. But if I'm in Italy, yes, I'm going to try the local pasta. And if I'm, in Naples, I'm going to try Neapolitan pizza, of course. But you know what? If I'm in Rome, let's just say you're in Rome and there's a Neapolitan pizza place and a Roman pizza place right next door. Are you really going to say, I need to try Neapolitan because that's the best? You're in Rome. And when in Rome, do as the Romans do. And that's what this whole episode is about, is eating local Mexican food. And Tepito is really the only true Mexico City experience. Around the barrios of Mexico City are a ton of antojitos, taquerias, stands that are doing quesadillas. We love the tlacoyos and all these, the pambazos and all these things. But a lot of these dishes are not from Mexico City. They came with the chilangos, this huge group of people that ballooned the city to twice the population from the 1950s to the 1980s. And these migrants from all over around Mexico City came in, and they also brought their food. So there's lots of the street food you love in Mexico City that's actually from Puebla. Some of it's from Estado de Mexico. Some of it's from Yucatan. Some of it's from Oaxaca. You get all these foods coming in and all these different other cultures that's become part of Mexico City cuisine, but they're not indigenous to the city. And at the same time, international cuisine is taking off. And I tell you, it's sort of, it's for the first time ever, all these new things are opening in Mexico City. I'm not that interested. I'm seeing a lot of French restaurants, Saint Jacques Bistro, Korean Joang, Gia Kill Bill, Vigneron. There's sushi and ramen places. There's a place called Galanga, Planck. There's all these different international cuisines that are great for the locals, okay? If you are living in Mexico City and you have the funds to dine out, you can now have French cuisine, really good French cuisine, great sushi. You can have great Korean food. You can have good Thai food, right? And Japanese food in particular is really taking off in Mexico City. But I can do that here in Los Angeles, and okay, you can say, well, but we think it's as good. Do I really want to fly to Mexico City? That's the stupidest reason ever, to have something that's as good as I can get in Torrance. That does not make sense to me, because I certainly cannot get that Mexican food that are in these neighborhoods. And for me, the best food is north of the city. If you go to those places that and I'm not, again, I'm not talking bad about those places. I'm saying if you go to those places, you're still going to have an amazing experience. If you've never been to Mexico and it's your first time in Mexico City, Mi Compa Chava is going to blow your mind. Contramar is going to blow your mind. These fusion places are going to blow your mind. But for me, I'm really looking for Mexican food. And so I find myself sort of stuck with my list. I still love Puyol. It's always wonderful. Sud 777. Rosetta and Maximo are two restaurants that did, I would say, begin this trend of international cooking and reimagining what could be Mexican food. As Chef Enrique Olvera said one time, I am Mexican, so everything I cook is Mexican. That idea that your perspective can also shape the cuisine. I still love Rosetta and Maximo, even though they're not doing Mexican food in the same way that Puyol is doing or Quintonil is doing. But those are still great restaurants to me. Carmela y Sal, where I went for chiles en nogada recently, is has Tabasco food in Mexico City, which is unique. Tabasco is one of those states you're never going to probably get to. So I do like that there. I recently went to M, and I'm going to talk more about that on another episode. But M is also hitting all those things that I like. There's tostadas. There's a lot of antojitos, modern takes on antojitos. It makes me feel a sense of place, that I'm in Mexico, that I'm not in a French bistro. I don't want to do that in Roma. Okay, the one thing I do think, though, is exciting and new is, and not so new, but are all the molinos, the places that are focusing on masa-based cuisine, like Siembra, Maisajo. Maisajo is amazing. Expendio de Maíz, which has been a darling for some time now, but I actually went there for the first time recently. Really wonderful. So those places are exciting. But for me, I'm going to take a turn north to Tepito. Head towards the Zócalo and take a look, because you really need to get out of Roma and Condesa. The locals are telling you to do that too. Get the hell out. So maybe go to some other neighborhoods, spread your tourism around the city. So I recommend going to see the Zócalo once in your life. Now, alongside the Zócalo, walk up República de Brasil all the way to República de Cuba. And right there on your left is Quesadillas Doña Mari. And you could stop there for quesadilla de quelites, for wild greens, and gordita de chicharrón. And to your right is Tacos El Puma, which is a really nice taco de guisado stand. There's several vendors around there. So I always like to stop by there. I just like to see those vendors, even if I'm going to Tepito and I'm going to do a lot of eating there. So maybe I'm just going to skip these places, but I recommend both of them. And now continue on República de Brasil north to República de Peru. And there's a guy there on the left side of the street, northwest corner, that is selling coffee. He's got a little street stand selling coffee. So that's always like, if I don't get a chance to get coffee at my hotel because I'm trying to get out. Hey, by the way, get your ass out of the hotel early in Mexico City. It's a big city. If you try to leave at 10 or something like that, the traffic's going to be intense and you're going to lose the day fast. So get out early. So I'll grab my coffee there. Really friendly guy. Don't know his name, but right there on that corner. República de Brasil and República de Peru. Now, coffee in hand, keep walking. I don't know, some of my Italian friends. My Italian producer probably thinks that's uncouth to walk with coffee, but I'm going to do it anyway. And he can go to hell. And so, okay, now you're going to get to López Rayón, Eje Uno Norte. It's the main drag that's going to take you. You're going to head east from the Lagunilla area. And you can also stop there. There's a beautiful market that houses all the quinceañera dresses, and they're so beautiful. And it's a huge market. Everybody's shopping for quinceañeras and weddings and things. So you can stop at that market. Also visit the food market on the other side of the street at Lagunilla. But keep heading east, and it's crazy. So and the labyrinth begins to emerge as you get closer to Tepito. And there you're going to find just chaos in terms of buses, people on scooters, people driving cars through alleys that aren't big enough for the car to go through. And the one thing you have to watch out for, though, are the guys with the hand carts and sometimes with these oversized boxes and those guys have right of way. So if you don't watch out for these guys, they're going to rip you a new one and leave you hobbled on the road. So they do not stop. You have to get out of the way, and beware of the scooters too, because they're coming behind. And the thing is, And you're saying, well, that sounds like a lot. But, the locals, they know how to get out of the way and they don't ever get run over by these things. So you have to, now this is the part where you have to be like a local, is don't get your ass smashed by a push cart. So choose your side of the street, and just walk around. There's a lot of ambulant vendors with shopping carts selling hot dogs, sincronizadas, which are uh, flour tortillas filled with ham and cheese, jicaletas, which are jicama, like these jicama pops, jicama on a stick that you dress with the usual things, chamoy and chile and limon. Elotes. By the way, look for, I know like elotes are, okay, I can have elotes in Los Angeles or wherever part of the US you are, the world. But when it's cacahuacintle season, those are the large kernel corn. That's the corn that's used for pozole. And when they have those out, you want to you want to get that. So that is the moment you get an elote in Mexico City. Now you're going to get to the epicenter of the northern route to cross over into Tepito, which is the two streets, Aztecas and Toltecas, which is really a kind of a reminder of that neighborhood. That neighborhood, the fierce neighborhood, El Barrio Bravo, has a rich history of resistance. They resisted the Aztecs, what we call the Aztecs now. They resisted the Spanish. They resisted the American invasion of Mexico and the Mexican-American War. This neighborhood today resists the Mexican government, and they make their own rules. And so you're in their neighborhood, and if you're going to walk in there on your own, honestly, I don't really recommend it unless you have either a local that knows the place, or or you feel confident, or you have experience in neighborhoods like this. It's not a dangerous place at all, but it's a place where locals protect that neighborhood, and they don't like people coming in to say bad things about the neighborhood, to cause problems for them, because it's a part of the city that, again, doesn't feel looked after by the government. And so, they're not going to take kindly. And so if you do cause a problem in there, understand you're going to cause a problem with the entire neighborhood. So you go in there humble, nice. It's a very family friendly place. It's very, there's just a lot of people shopping. It's very busy. It's one of those sensory overloads. And also, no, don't take pictures of everything unless you know what you're doing. Don't take pictures of people. Ask for permission, especially do it. If you're buying food from somebody, usually it's okay to record. Do not, under any circumstances, take pictures or video of DVDs. Okay? That's my warning. Your last warning. You do that and you will be escorted out of that neighborhood. Now, onto the food. Now, what I love about this neighborhood is you can find dishes that are only in this neighborhood and that are originally Chilango, from Mexico City. And we're talking, the most famous dish is migas. Okay, you've heard of migas from Texas, and that's very different than this dish. So migas, it's a pork shank. They use pork bones, and they use the leftover bread tops to thicken the stock. And of course, it has chiles in it. And they just cook the hell out of those bones with the marrow in them. And they serve you the soup sin hueso or con hueso, with bones or without bones. I like it with the bones because the bones have marrow. They don't have a lot of meat on them, but the soup itself is so delicious and amazing. And it really says everything about the neighborhood. Taking the scraps of taking the bread tops from the torta vendors. When you make a torta, you take out the bread top so it fits over all those ingredients, and they put those in a bag and people buy them. And these are used for cooking. And in Tepito, Migas La Güera, one of the most famous migas joint. There's a dozen of them. Maybe, actually, there might be dozens of migas vendors. But Migas La Güera, you need to go there once. Go there early because they do run out, especially on weekends. And it's just this rich, beautiful soup with these just floppy corn tortillas. Oh, and get the combo. It comes with a tostada de pata, a pig's foot tostada. But all the vendors, they're super competitive and creative. So the creativity is really high in the neighborhood. People like make their own little businesses with these stands. Sometimes it's on a shopping cart. I saw a guy once there with the smallest trompo I've seen, and we've seen those as novelty things, but it was an actual working trompo, and it was on a shopping cart, and he was doing tortas de al pastor. And so that was, so people see that it looks cool, it's engaging, and like every vendor is doing this, and they're doing things that are unusual. There's another al pastor vendor there that I really love that also does cochinita and al pastor, something you don't see. You're not going to see at any of the famous taquerias in Mexico City. And then one of the many famous dishes from Tepito is the taco de hígado, and it's a liver and onion taco. And maybe to you, that doesn't sound appetizing. And you're like, well, I've had liver and onions. I don't need to have liver and onions in Mexico. No, 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 no. So again, there's this one vendor, Tacos de Hígado Ramirez, and he's a legend in there. And all they do, well salted liver and onions in a little well, and they fry them up. And they don't even, it's, again, this is a working class neighborhood. So they don't even give you plates. You get it on a piece of paper, the however many tacos, and this one salsa de chile habanero, which is amazing. It's an amazing salsa. The salsa transforms the whole thing. It's liver and onions as the sort of the base, but then this salsa that also has a little bit of epazote in it, and it's just the most amazing dish. And again, you're not going to see liver and onion tacos outside of Tepito. Now, some people do it on a plancha. Some people do it on like a little well with some oil. Other people do it more like confit style, like Las Corazonas is another one. They have liver and udders and other offal of cow. So it's like beef carnitas, and those are amazing tacos. I actually took Phil Rosenthal there for Somebody Feed Phil when we went to Mexico City. So you can watch that clip, but amazing place. There are just liver vendors everywhere, but you want to go to Tacos de Hígado Ramirez. The other thing, I recently went there with my dear friend, Chef Gabriela Ruiz of Carmela y Sal, and you saw her on our recent episode talking about her chiles en nogada. But the one thing I was struck by her, because, she's been living in Mexico City now for about a decade, and she had never been to the neighborhood, and she waited for me to take her. And when, we went around, she was just blown away she had never seen this food before done this way. And so we went to this, another place, and you can find this one on TikTok, but I went, I've been going for years to this place, but now I see it on TikTok. There's two of them, Tacos de Guisado El Chino and Tacos Chon. But El Chino for me is the one. They have these, they call them chalupa de huevo, and it's really just a fried corn tortilla with a fried egg on it. Now that doesn't sound that spectacular maybe, but it's sort of revolutionary because in Mexico, we do not put fried eggs on tacos and stuff. That's a really like Chicano thing here in the United States. But over there, eggs are usually scrambled into like with machaca or something, or they're scrambled into something and put into tacos, but not whole fried eggs. So they put fried eggs on there, and you can add salsa, and you can add a guisado on there too. But what's unusual is that they take cheap ingredients from torta places, like the lunch meat, the lomo lunch meat, and then they put it in a traditional dish, a la mexicana or something, or they'll roast a turkey in adobo, and they'll just shred it, and that'll be your taco de guisado. And you can have that with rice, of course, as the base. Great salsas, and it's the tiniest stall. Even if you see it on a map, it's really easy to miss and walk by. It's kind of wedged in between a couple of garment stalls. But just the innovation and creativity, you're not going to see guisados like this anywhere in Mexico City, where the menus can be kind of static. A lot of all the guisado stands have a certain set of recipes, plus they might have some of their own things, but purely original things here at Guisados El Chino. And El Chon, Tacos Chon is also another really great one there. So let's talk about some of these other tacos. You're going to find tacos de la plancha places. there, but there's a couple of them that do huarache sized tortillas. Again, this is a neighborhood. It's a working class neighborhood. People want affordable food, super affordable, and they want a lot. They want abundance. They want to be filled up. So there are tacos a la plancha places that are more generous than you find in the city, with lots of toppings, fried potatoes and nopales. The most amazing tacos de embutidos place, just called Tacos de Obispo. It's sort of outside the market. You have to walk along these bars and get outside the market, and there's an extension of stalls. Hey, folks, you're gonna have to find these places if you really want to go, but also you're gonna have to behave. Tacos de Obispo is a special kind of sausage from Toluca. Also, chorizo verde. Obispo is named after a bishop because of the way it looks when you fold it over. It looks like a bishop praying. Chorizo verde. And then they get very creative. Again, you would not find this in Toluca. You would find in Toluca, you're going to get Obispo, chorizo verde, chorizo, longaniza, cecina, and queso de puerco. But here, they're doing chistorra, which is the sort of Argentine sausage, which kind of like a Slim Jim. Slim Jim tacos sound great to me, and they are delicious. Chorizo alemán, like a German sausage. Queso provolone enchilado, so a taco of cheese. And they have all kinds of cool sausages and things that you would not find in Toluca. But that is what happens in Tepito. Everybody wants to be original. Everybody wants to be unique. They want to differentiate themselves. They want to cook, in a way that looks interesting. Now, another place that I really love, and, I'm always, I can't figure you people out, okay? So I brought some foodies, I'm not going to say their names, friends with me, and some of them were like, surprised by the tacos. People are, when they see something that they don't expect, like liver and onions, like liver and onions, really? They're not always super enthusiastic about it, but they tried it, and again, the experience of being in Tepito alone is worth the trip. But when I took Chef Gavi, she just fell in love with these places, and that really warmed my heart because I love them too, and locals love them. And so I took her to the Mercado 14 right there in Tepito. There's it's hard to find. You're basically looking for a needle in a haystack to find the entrance to this market. And there's this place called Tacos Coco Loco, and another innovation of Tepito, the carne quesos. And what it is this like chopped meat, chopped steak with quesillo and a little bit of onions and some peppers, and you should see the way the guy just sort of puts these piles on the grill, and it looks like he's just building mounds, like a mound builder. And then he puts flour tortillas on top, doubles them, and he starts scooping these things up and making tacos. And of course, the cheese melts. Some of the filling spills out, and then it gets kind of grilled to the side. So you have all these grilled burnt bits on the outside of the flour tortilla. Inside, it's just this mess. And then you add the salsas, and it's such an amazing taco. It's basically a taco a la plancha, but a very specific one. The queso carnes that's really popular right now with chilangos, especially in Tepito. And carnitas. Now, a lot of people don't know that Mexico City does have its own style of carnitas. One of the main differences is that Mexico City doesn't always use things like Coca-Cola and piloncillo. So the carnitas will be kind of pinkish. Not saying all of them. And you're going to be like, oh, I went to one and they shut the fuck up. Okay. It's a huge city. We can't even count the number of vendors. There's bound to be people that use Coca-Cola and piloncillo. So like, relax. But in general, my experience is you find this kind of pinkish meat. There's a great place in Tepito called Carnitas El Chuleta. And the cut you want to get that's uniquely Mexico City is huesitos. And there are carnitas places that they just call them huesitos, but it's a carnita stand, and that's all they do. So they're basically taking all the bones and trim, and they're making carnitas with that. Again, what's thrown away becomes a delicacy in a neighborhood like Tepito. And so, yeah, you're getting a bone with meat on it, and you have to kind of either eat around it or you have to kind of use the tortilla to pull the meat off. That's for you to figure out. I could tell you how I do it, but I'd rather you figured it out. Wonderful salsas again. The salsas are so amazing at these stands. And this is a big difference you're going to find is the pliability and the function of the tortillas are so much better. The tortillas are thin enough and they're pliable and they're strong. So it's a really different situation. And the salsas are completely on another level. And that makes these dishes, very simple flavors, come to life. El Chuleta, he's always hunched over, and that's the cook there. That's his nickname, El Chuleta, the pork chop. And you also want to get pork belly, pork shank, and according to my friend Chef Gabi, the nana there is the best she's ever had. She hates nana, which is pig uterus. I like it, and but I had her try it, and she said, "Oh my God, I've changed my mind. This is really great." So again, lots of offal in this neighborhood, and people do amazing things with it. Other tacos that you can find: tacos Ramiro, tacos de tripa. Again, just lots of fat, frying in lots of fat, a huge volume. I have to say, there's something about we don't have lots of volume taquerias here in Los Angeles, and the ones that we do have volume, but they don't have staff. But when you see these places that have, that really have a good amount of staff and just crank all day long, the expertise of cooking that way is again so much more pronounced. Barbacoa. You can even get barbacoa during the week, which is not a thing in most parts of Mexico. Barbacoa is mostly a Saturday, Sunday breakfast. But like I went there on a Monday once, and a guy just had the pancita, like he had maybe he made barbacoa the day before, and he had a whole pancita, and he just took it out there, put it on a cart, and was selling tacos de pancita. Amazing. Pancita is the offal stuffed stomach. So again, you're going to find so many wonderful dishes. Another one, and this is not too far from around there where Toltecas and Aztecas are, is Tostadas Anita. It's literally a garment stand that also has a pop-up inside of it that does tostadas. And these are tostadas smeared with beef hoof, pata, picadillo, ground meat with vegetables, tartara de res, which is like raw beef marinated in lime, kind of like carne de apache that they do in Michoacan, but this isn't carne de apache. This is tartara de res, salpicón, marinated pork, and a really cool tostada that I actually got one time. And again, you're going to say, why are you doing that? Because it's uniquely, again, you put some little hot sauce on it and everything, but it's potato salad. A potato salad tostada. Who doesn't want that? But that's, again, the cool kind of thing you're going to find in this neighborhood. Another nighttime dish is cabezas. And this is one I've only had a couple of times because I'm usually there more during the day just because at night I'm out to these fancy restaurants. So blame it on Puyol that I don't get to try cabezas more often. But a cabeza is a tostada with an entire chicken head on it with the coxcomb and everything, the beak. So the whole they boil it and fry this thing, and then they dress it like an antojito. They put salsa on there and cheese and cream, onions, and you just sort of eat around this chicken head with the neck and everything. It's a wonderful local dish. During the day, vendors go around and sell boiled chicken's feet and chicken gizzards that again they give you in a little cup with the stock and some salsa. Okay, and as I was dissing non-Mexico City seafood earlier, I wasn't dissing it. I know people are going to be like, "Oh my gosh, I'm going to hear it from someone I know," but there are places where you can get empanadas and filetes in Tepito. Eater's coming out with a new guide to Mexico. It's a print book. I hope you get it. But one of my picks, it's actually not in Tepito. It's just below. It's called Carla Mar, and Carla is doing again lots of great empanadas, filetes, all the different seafood cocktails like the Vuelve a la Vida. And look for her stand in the new Eater book. But in Tepito, you're going to find these places, and these empanadas are big, like they're the size of your hand, and you open them up and you throw some avocado in there, some Valentina hot sauce. You got to do the Valentina if you're in Mexico City, and wonderful shrimp empanadas, crab, other seafood empanadas. But that's Mexico City seafood, and you're not going to run out of interesting things to eat. And some of the stuff is just going to whiz by you in a cart. A barbacoa stand running by, a taco de guisado stand running by, somebody selling miniature donuts. I saw a whole cart of donut holes, and they were all decorated fancy, like you see at these nice donut shops in Los Angeles that have all these unique presentations of donuts. These were all on donut holes. So just, everybody, and this was like, there's a kid selling it, a family, and a lot of these stands have been around for generations. And of course, and you're going to find other things that are more typical. You're going to find tamales. And the one thing that is funny is that all the pan dulce comes from Pasteleria Ideal, which is that big place in Mexico City that everybody goes to and walks in and doesn't buy any sweet bread. Come on, guys, buy some bread when you're in there. Or they walk in there for an hour and they come out with one concha or something. But anyways, in Tepito, people go there and they buy boxes of pan dulce and they put it on a cart and they show up and they make coffee and stuff, and they'll walk around and sell coffee and sweet bread to people. But yeah, they don't make their own pan dulce in Tepito. It's all that one viral panaderia there in Centro Histórico. Now, along with all these wonderful eats, you want to get a michelada. Now, the micheladas here are amazing. They're all made with chamoy. Like, you want to get the classic ones. It just has a chamoy rim and sesame seeds. And with that little sweet chamoy in the beer, it's a really wonderful combination. It gets crazy in there. You probably see it on these Netflix shows with these gomichelas and the habaneras, cubanas, camaroneras, different types of, you can have all kinds of micheladas stacked with gummy worms and shrimp and all sorts of things, like a whole food tray on top of the drink. And they're done with and they have all these colorful chamoys, blue and purple and yellow and red and different flavored chamoys that are artisanal, made locally. And then these bars, there's one that I haven't seen in a while called La Catrina, and they were out on the Eje Uno Norte for a while, and I had some of the most memorable experiences hanging out at that bar. And then they moved to the back area towards Taco de Obispo, and I think lately I haven't seen them, so I don't know what happened to them. But I'll always have La Catrina. There's Micheladas Lupillo, which another one that was featured in shows and is on TikTok. But there's so many little bars, and they're just plywood bars. They decorate them with artificial turf and put some frilly things up, and they make horrible cocktails that you should enjoy, like strawberry mojitos and a drink called the Hulk. It's a green drink. I don't even want to know what's in it. I tried it once, and some of them taste like they smell like a Glade air freshener, but I think it's a local thing. So I tried them. I tried the Hulk. I tried the Azules, the blue drink, different mojitos, strawberry mojito. So you'll have different types of mojitos. But the best drink to have there is the classic michelada. And it's cool to hang out and listen to, all the wonderful music that the young people of Tepito are listening to, the cumbias sonideras, the reggaeton mexa, the Mexican takes or the modern takes on merengue. So they'll be playing that music. A lot of times there are dances going on, and people party in those bars. So, you can walk around with your michelada, or you can stop and enjoy the music at the bar. And the bars, they're everywhere, so they kind of keep the whole atmosphere lively. You feel like you're in a club wherever you are, even when you're eating chicken feet. The other thing is pulque. Now, a lot of people go to the pulque bars in Mexico City, and those places are cool, divey places. But the pulque is not always the best quality. And so I found in my experience that if you go to Tepito in the morning, the pulque is fresher. they basically bring it in a cooler on ice, so it's like thawing out as they're opening up. It's like it's got some ice formed inside, but it's thawing. It's really fresh. It's really cool, and really clean flavor. Now I have been to Tlaxcala at the cradle of pulque, the best pulque in Mexico, and I've had it right there at the source. It's such a clean, refreshing beverage. In Mexico City, it gets to be kind of slimy, and the flavor is a little off sometimes. But if you go to Tepito, to me, that's the only place I really want to have pulque in Mexico City. Okay, I'm being snobby about it in a way, but it's kind of true. I get pulque in Tepito. If you don't like alcohol, first of all, pulque is not high alcohol; it's very low alcohol. People say if you sit and drink a pitcher, and you'll get drunk. I'm like, I don't know how you could put down a pitcher of that, and I'm positive it would take 10 pitchers of that to get me drunk, and I can't drink 10 pitchers. So if you don't like alcohol, you can get these aguas preparadas, like aguas minerales, mineral waters that are they'll prepare them like a beverage, like a michelada. They'll put lime in there, and they'll put some salt on the rim, and that's a wonderful. I always get one of those. You got to hydrate in Tepito, and if you're not going to have micheladas and pulque, then you can have these mineral waters that are done the Mexican way. Now, these drinks, though, you cannot miss. The aguas frescas, even the aguas frescas game in Tepito is different. Look for the aguas frescas vendors with these 5-gallon containers, plastic containers and look for the ones that have a green agua fresca. The green one is pistachio. And I had never seen this anywhere in Mexico until I saw it in Tepito. Recently, I saw it pop up in Guadalajara. So it's, I guess, because of TikTok and Instagram, people are copying some of the things they're doing in Tepito. But like, it's an horchata style, so with milk. Wonderful. It's one of my favorite aguas frescas in the world. They also have blueberry, again, another unusual one. And it's vibrantly, unusually blue, which I don't know. I don't really care. If it's dye, it's dye. But the blueberry one is really great. I've had that one before. Also walnut and Nescafe. So they're using the instant coffee to make an agua fresca. Only in Tepito, my friends. And again, you're not going to find Mexico City cuisine necessarily in other parts of the city. I mean, if you're staying. I know you. You don't listen. You're going to stay in Condesa and Roma. You're going to piss everybody off. With all this gentrification, you remote workers are ruining it for everyone. And you're going to go to only the places in there, places that are not from Mexico City. I love Taqueria Orinoco, love it, but it's from Monterrey and it's not Mexico City style. And the antojitos, you're going to, oh, this is the quesadilla lady there. Okay, that's from Puebla or it's from Estado de Mexico. You're trying all these things that are not really from there. And is it delicious? Yes. And it's amazing. Again, I don't think you can have a bad meal in Mexico City, even if you do the super yuppie tour of Condesa and Roma, and you don't even get to any parts of the city. You're still going to have amazing food because you're in Mexico. Everything is better. All the concepts are better. The ingredients are better. The chefs are better. The chefs all over the city have worked in Quintonil. They've worked in Puyol. They've worked in M. They've worked in all these restaurants. They've got all this training, and they're just, flowing all over the city, opening all kinds of amazing concepts. So you're not going to have a bad meal, even if you go that route. But in Tepito, you're going to get something special, a real neighborhood that cares about their neighborhood, that isn't going to put up with any bullshit from you. Ooh, try to gentrify that shit. Ooh, good luck. And so, I just love seeing everybody's just wonderful passion for what, going out in the street was something that's really special. One of the last things I had leaving Tepito this last time, I've been going, I go every time I go, I've been going for years, but leaving Tepito with Gabi is she wanted to have el postre, gorditas de nata, which are these nata cream cakes. When you see a gorditas de nata stand, that's usually all they have. And then they're either filled or unfilled. But this guy also was doing pancakes, and he also had sweet empanadas. So it's like everybody does something a little different to make their stand offer more, to stand out, to be unique, and it all has to be flavorful at that price. The competition there, everybody's affordable. There are no, you know, you there's a lot of competition for affordable tacos, antojitos. Tacos are antojitos, by the way. All these wonderful antojitos. So I really recommend this neighborhood as the place where you can find true Mexico City cuisine, and go there with humility. Go there and give everyone the right of way. Be respectful. Be careful what you shoot. Again, if somebody talks to you, it doesn't matter who it is, and they say you're doing something wrong, then you listen to them. Everyone in that neighborhood is an authority. Everyone. So this idea that you get in America that, well, I'm in the open air, I can do what I want. No, get that shit out of your head. This is a neighborhood that will not tolerate. I have one tale. I was there with the chef. Again, I'm not going to name the chef. And we were going around, and I had a camera on and my phone out, and we were walking through the area of these DVDs. And some kid, I want to say early 20s, I say kid, I'm 56, was like yelling, "Hey, he's got a camera, he's got a camera." And he started running towards me, like, when somebody's like really pissed off and hyped up, they get all tense and their muscles tense up. And so he ran towards me, and he couldn't stop himself, and he like slammed into me. I sort of like, oh, all right. And he didn't mean to, but he just kind of just got overexcited. But when I looked up, there were 8 guys surrounding us. And so I just very, very calmly pulled up my camera, and I opened where you can see I'm not a photographer, man. I opened that thing where you can show the photos. So I hit that button, and I showed him where you can scroll. I took my camera off my head. I gave it to him. I said, obviously in Spanish, look at my photos. And then I opened up my phone, and I opened up my photos. I handed it to another guy. I said, check my phone. And my other friend was freaking out. I just turned to him. I said, dude, just chill. Just like, it's going to be fine. These guys are just. So as soon as they were looking at the photos and looking through, because they were still kind of pissed, they started to look, and they couldn't find anything but food. I mean, it's me. It's me, you know? And so while they were looking and their eyes weren't on me, I said very calmly, I said, I love this neighborhood. It's my favorite place to eat in Mexico City. I'm only here for good things. I'm only here to talk about the best of Tepito. And they all looked up at me. They handed me my things back. They said sorry, and they kept moving. So they realized, of course, I hadn't taken photos of the DVDs. But that's why I'm telling you, even if you're by the DVDs, put your phone in your pocket. And now I'm going to say that's one time in over, I don't know, 15 years going there. I can't remember when I first started going. That's once that happened. Another time, a guy just asked me what I was doing there, and I just said I'm a food writer, and it's one of my favorite neighborhoods. And same thing, he was like, cool, just checking. And people they're protecting their neighborhood. Their neighborhood has gone through a lot. They've historically suffered, and they still have to deal with the Mexican government. And so, you think they got time for me and you and our bullshit? No. So again, as long as you understand you're not in your neighborhood, and I'm not saying this as, I know I really hate it when the TikTokers go, the more dangerous the barrio, the better the food. That's fucking stupid. That's ignorant. And I feel like it's not respectful to our community to say that. Even if you're from the community, it's kind of a ghetto thing to say. But so I'm not saying this because I think I'm telling you, it's not a dangerous neighborhood at all. I'm saying it's a wonderful neighborhood. I've taken all my friends there, and we've all had a great time. We've never been bothered, but I feel like I'm very comfortable there, and I'm relaxed. And I also know what to do if something comes up, because again, I think this is just my advice as a traveler is always respect the place you're at more than you respect yourself. Always. Okay. You can demand your rights when you're back home, but when you're on someone else's turf, follow their rules, follow their lead, listen to them. And there's a reason they're saying what they're saying. And that's it. Tepito, El Barrio Bravo, the neighborhood of true Mexico City cuisine. And I'm telling you, I love it. It's a wonderful experience. It's a wonderful contrast on a day that you're going to be pampered later on that evening at Puyol, and to have the real range of experiences in Mexico City, and to also give those people a break in Condesa and Roma. Give them a break, okay, gringos? They're tired. Thank you for tuning in to the Taqueando podcast this week. And be sure to tune in next week for another episode. And please leave us a rating or review wherever you listen to your podcasts.